am Amanda Shekarchi, and I am joined by Eliza Niemi, a multi-instrumentalist, composer, and songwriter from Toronto. She is known for her albums Staying Mellow Blows and EPs Vinegar and Glass. Eliza was also part of a band called Mauno. Her latest solo single, Do You FM, is out now, and Eliza's album, Progress Bakery, is out on March 21st. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yay, so congratulations on the new single, Do You FM. What is the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, thank you. The inspiration behind it is this big boulder that's in a park on Ulster Street in Toronto that I grew up right next to. Yeah, I used to go there when I was a kid and sit on the rock, climb up and eat popsicles, and I learned to ride a bike in that park as well. And I'm sure because you grew up in Toronto as well, right? So you know about this big park restoration project that happened like about 10 or so years ago.
Yeah, why don't you touch on that briefly?
Yeah, so they sort of revitalized a bunch of the parks in Toronto and they replaced all of the wooden jungle gyms with like plastic and metal ones.
Yes.
And during this process, this really funny sort of arbitrary thing happened where they moved this giant boulder to the other side of the park. And
Yes.
yeah,
Hmm.
I just thought it was really funny and strange. Like it must have taken so much, like, it's a quite a big boulder. It's like the size of a smart car or something. So it must have taken a lot of machinery to move it over. And the place where it was before is just empty. Like it seemed unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely did notice that. Because we used to have the classic sand and now everything is all plastic. But yeah, in the lyrics you
Yeah,
literally say why they moved the rock to the other side.
yeah, yeah. So I think the song is just sort of posing all of these questions that are sort of I don't know, they're rhetorical in a way, but also kind of existential. And it's sort of like, what happens when your people die? Like there's something about the rock being moved to the other side that I think encapsulates these mysteries about life and death as well.
Amazing. Um, so tell me, how was the production process for this song?
For this song, so a lot of the songs on the album were done in this way where I would sort of make a demo that ended up not being a demo and just being the final recording of like guitar and voice. And my dear friend Louis, who records and produces a lot of my stuff, was always sort of on me about like making the demos sound good or just putting effort into using a nice mic when I'm demoing a song because he's like, we're gonna end up using it, like we always end up using it. So just like use a nice mic. So I did that for this one. And yeah, I just recorded the guitar and vocals myself at home and then brought it to Louis and we recorded like drums and bass live in a little studio in Toronto and sort of built it up from there, mostly at Louis's house, like added flute and electric guitar. And then my friend Carolina, who's like a touring musician in the States, based in Texas and Chicago, they recorded their harmony vocals, I think just with their iPhone. That's kind of their thing. They like record on their phone. So the harmonies are recorded on their phone.
Yes, I love that. So I read that you have an album coming out on March 21st called Progress Bakery. How is it
Hmm, hmm.
different sonically and lyrically from your other stuff, if you're able to speak on this now?
Yeah, I guess, well, with this album, Progress Bakery, that I wanted to sort of zoom in on the process of making an album and sort of have the finished product be less polished in a lot of ways. So like a lot of the transition tracks are really stripped down and just phone recordings of me humming ideas for melodies. And yeah, I kind of just wanted to illuminate like the transitional aspects of making something like an album.
Nice. I love that. So what is the inspiration behind the album title, Progress Bakery?
Well, so a few years ago, I was sort of going through a hard time in my life, a very transitional time, which is like the theme of this album, and it's the time that I wrote most of this album during. And I was subletting an apartment up on Dovercourt in Toronto, and down the street was a place called Progress Bakery, and I used to walk by it every day. And I would like often stop and get a coffee there in the morning. And I thought the name was really awesome and kind of like funny and beautiful at the same time. Like I was sort of like I felt like it was sort of poking fun at me or something about like where I was at in my life, but simultaneously it was really inspiring because I was like, yes, I'm it's all up from here and I'm like making progress and they're baking up progress in the bakery and I'm making it personally as well. And then the sign is also like half falling off, so you can like see the outline of Pra, but it just says like Grass Bakery, which I also thought was really kind of funny and apt for this feeling.
Totally. I love it. So I want to talk a little bit about you because we have a lot in common when it comes to um our start in music. One of the things being passion for film scoring. What is
Hmm.
your history with that?
Yeah, I've just loved film as a medium like since I was a kid. I loved like going to the movies and watching movies. My parents were both really into film. And actually in my undergrad I did a really like vague liberal arts degree, but I had to write a thesis and I did it in like film studies. Yeah, and I don't know. There's just something really beautiful about the pairing of music and visuals in the realm of film. Like it really, the score of a film just totally curates the whole emotional vibe, and I think that's a really beautiful thing. And I've had the pleasure of writing music for a couple of shorts and features in the past year, and yeah, it's just been amazing. It's like combining my love of these two art forms in a really exciting way.
Definitely. What are some of your favorite film scores?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, in university, I wrote my thesis on Wim Wenders, the like new German cinema director, and I was really into the like all the Cooder guitar stuff in Paris, Texas. Um, yeah, I thought that was really beautiful. And then also one of my favorite scores is Under the Skin, the Scarlett Johansson movie, and the person I forget their name, but Mikachu and the Shapes, the musician from that band, did the score, and it's very like strings, heavy, eerie, sparse violin stuff. Yeah, it's really great.
I love it. So who are your favorite composers when it comes to film?
My favorite composers when it comes to film. I mean, it's kind of funny. I know this is kind of a cop out, but I really like Hans Zimmer. Like, I feel like a lot of the stuff he's done is just so maximal and beautiful, and like hearing about all the different ways that he's recorded stuff is really exciting to me. And then I actually recently, so I was scoring something recently, and the director sent me a short by this director named Chris Borgli as sort of like a reference. And I wish I could remember the name of the composer. I can look it up afterwards, but it was sort of like this comedic short about these two people on a first date that kind of goes wrong. Um, but the score is almost like horror movie-esque. It's very like eerie, creepy, scratchy strings, and it really is like hilarious and also tense at the same time. And I was super inspired by that.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. That sounds like such a cool score. So, how has growing up in a musical family influenced your music experience?
Ooh, I guess like growing up, well, my dad taught me how to play music. Like he's a bass guitar player and plays acoustic guitar and a bit of piano and stuff as well. So I think growing up around that really made me um, sort of appreciate music from an unconventional standpoint. Like I learned how to play by ear, and it was like a lot of jamming and sort of like passing instruments back and forth and teaching each other stuff. And I only learned how to read music like years later in middle school. And I feel like that was a good sort of a good foundation. Like, yeah, it was good to like appreciate music from a sonic standpoint first, rather than like learning how to read and coming at it from that angle.
You also have a record label, Mina Records. How did that come about?
Yeah, Vein Mina. So I started that in 2019 to release my first EP, Vinegar, on. And yeah, I think I kind of just wanted to start an imprint to like self-release my music on. I'd been on my own, we'd been on a couple labels, and those labels were great. Like it was an awesome experience. And I'm actually still on Tin Angel in Europe, like releasing my solo music with them as well. Um, and yeah, I wanted to sort of go off on my own and like do release music my own way. And I think like Vein Mina is actually Finnish. It means only me. It's kind of like
Mm.
somewhat ironically this name that's like very like DIY. I'm gonna do it myself. It's gonna be like totally counter to the music industry and blah blah blah. And then it ended up actually being like a real community effort. Like my friend Mark Grundy, who plays in Heaven for Real and Quaker Parents, he really helped me a lot in starting it. And we put out a record by Quaker Parents soon after as well called Our Drawing Club. But yeah, it's turned into this kind of like collective where we all sort of fill in each other's gaps. Like I really like booking shows, but I hate pitching for press. And then like other friends on the label are really good at pitching for press. So we kind of like share the workload in that way. And it's a real community effort. So the fact that it's called Vein Mina, like only me, has become very like ironic kind of, but it sort of mirrors the narrative or the thought process of being like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and it's gonna be mine and like it's gonna be only me. And then in doing it, you're like, oh, it really takes a village, and that's what's beautiful about it. Yeah.
For sure. Like, how does it feel to kind of, have that label and then mentoring other, indie musicians as well?
Yeah, it feels good. Like it feels really good to sort of be able to share, knowledge that I've acquired in the music industry over the past few years with people who are maybe more new to it, and also to like just support friends who like otherwise wouldn't know how to self-release music. But it's also a lot of like me learning stuff as well, which is cool. And I've talked a big talk about sort of like making the label non-hierarchical at all over the years, and I'm really set on that. And I've been chipping away at sort of restructuring it to that end. But it's hard. It's hard because there's not many examples out there of like a true collective communal record label. Um, but I'm pretty keen on figuring that out.
I
But
love
even like
that.
the title of record label is very like it's tied up in capitalism and sort of like conventional hierarchies in the music industry. Like even the way that Bandcamp is set up or the way that money flows, it's like you can't have merchandise on your Bandcamp label page unless the payments are going to like the same PayPal email as the label. So like stuff like that, where it's like for Vane Mina, the money goes to the artist. So it's like the merch isn't on our label page. Yeah. So it's hard to
Mm.
navigate stuff like that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's amazing that you taking the steps to kind of change things. I think that's great. So, where can people find you?
Like online or like
Yeah.
in real life.
Online, and you can
Online.
also share real life if you want to. Well, we know we can find you at the park jamming out to Do You FM.
Yes, on the big rock. Yeah, which is now on the
Yes.
other side. Yes. Okay, people can find me. So the Vane Mina Records Instagram is just at Vane Mina Records, and then my own Instagram is at Eliza.Niemi. And yeah, I'm on Bandcamp, elizaniemi.bandcamp.com, and TikTok, I'm on TikTok, and Twitter/X.com. Yeah, all this stuff. Pretty easy to find. Luckily, there aren't many Eliza Niemis out there doing music, so if you just search that, you'll be good. And same with Vane Mina.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Eliza. It was so great to talk to you, and congratulations on everything that's coming up. Progress Bakery drops on March 21st, and Do You FM is out now. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.